Yo, what's poppin'? Welcome back to Golden Arrow Sports. Today we're going to continue our three-part series on the three Kings of Florida State. Today we're going to talk about Ej Manuel. Now, Ej was born March 19th, 1990 in Virginia Beach, Virginia. He attended Bayside High School, where he started as a freshman in 2004. He threw for 589 yards with 8 combined touchdowns his freshman year. Sophomore year, he threw for 1,332 yards with 8 TDs passing and 6 on the ground. His junior year, he threw for 1,973 yards with 20 touchdowns on the ground and the air combined. In 2007, his senior year, would see him earn a 5-star ranking from Rivals. He was one of the best prospects in the country, only behind Terrell Pryor as a dual-threat quarterback. He threw for 1,859 yards with 18 touchdowns and 541 yards rushing. He was the first quarterback prospect to be recruited by Jimbo Fisher when he got to FSU. Ej Manuel arrived on campus in 2008 where he redshirted. He saw his first game action in 2009 against BYU in mop-up duty. Then he was thrust into the starting role once Christian Ponder dislocated his shoulder against Clemson. His first start was against Wake Forest. The team was struggling and was in danger of having his first losing season under Coach Bowden. Ej got the win though, throwing for 220 yards, 2 touchdowns combined. Now the next 2 weeks were pretty rough for Ej. He went 1 for 1 in the win column, but the win was against Maryland 29-26, but he had 3 interceptions. Then the next game against number 1 Florida was really rough for Ej. He had to go against Tebow, Aaron Hernandez, Riley Cooper, Brandon Spikes, Carlos Dunlap, Joe Hayden. A team was stacked. The Pouncey brothers, Chris Rainey, Jeff Dipp, that team was stacked. Ahmad Black, the team was stacked. It's not fair. There's no redshirt freshman quarterback that can handle that. I don't care who you are, Johnny Manziel, Kyler Murray, Jameis, it doesn't matter who you are. There's no redshirt freshman quarterback that can handle that team. Anyway, the Florida State Seminoles still made it to a bowl game, the Gator Bowl in Jacksonville against West Virginia. Now this game was Bobby Bowden's last game as head coach. As it was a roller coaster season, the team just didn't seem to click. It just wasn't clicking no more, so this was his last game as head coach. He ended up getting the win, 33-21. Now Ej was efficient, but really didn't do too great, but he did a really good job of keeping the team in it. Going into his redshirt sophomore year, Ej was slated to be the backup behind Christian Ponder again. He played in 9 games and started 2. He played that many games because Christian Ponder was battling shoulder and elbow issues all year. His first start was against rival Clemson. Ej went 15 for 24 with 210 yards passing and an interception, along with 71 yards rushing and a touchdown, leading to a 16-13 win. His next start was against Virginia Tech Hokies and Tyrod Taylor in the ACC Championship game. Both dual-threat quarterbacks played well and showed off their skills. But it was Tyrod's ability not to make mistakes and put the ball in danger that made the difference, as Ej threw 2 interceptions. And that made the difference in the 44-35 Virginia Tech Hokie win. Christian Ponder returned for the bowl game, but he was unable to finish, as his elbow injury flared back up. Ej came in, was a good game manager, and was very efficient. Had 130 total yards and 1 touchdown, and got the 26-17 win against South Carolina. Into his junior year, Ej was unquestioned starter for the Seminoles, starting every game except for a Week 4 loss against Clemson. During that season, we saw a change in the offense. Jimbo added more RPOs, quarterback draws, quarterback powers, options, speed options to take advantage of Ej's possibilities, as long as a vertical passing game that fit him too, because the offense was more West Coast under Christian Ponder to fit his skills. The Seminoles got off to a great start, leading to be ranked number 5. In Week 3, they had a showdown against number 1 Oklahoma at home. It was a tight battle, but once Ej left with a shoulder injury, the Noles could not keep up with the well-rounded tutors led by Landry Jones. The shoulder injury would keep him out against the game against Clemson. Clint Trickett stepped in a good job, but couldn't get the win. He threw for over 300 yards and 3 touchdowns, but couldn't keep up with the high, potent Clemson offense, led by Taj Boyd, Sammy Watkins, Andre Ellington, DeAndre Hopkins, Adam Humphries, Dwayne Allen, and Martavis Bryant. In the game against Wake Forest, Clint Trickett got the start, but didn't finish because of inefficiency. Ej Manuel had to step in, going 19 for 35 with 286 yards and 2 touchdowns. But the rush showed, throwing 2 interceptions, and his shoulder injury limited his running ability that really hindered the game. The Seminoles ended up losing that game 35-30. That loss set the Seminoles back to 2-3. Now they face the meat of their conference schedule. Ej went on a hot streak during the next 5 games, having a 72 completion rate, averaging 240 yards passing per game, and 11 total touchdowns and only 2 turnovers. Manuel's efforts helped the Seminoles get back to the top 25 ranking, but unfortunately, Manuel and the Seminoles played flat in a trap game against Virginia Cavaliers, a week before their showdown against rival Florida. Even though Florida State outgained and had better time of possession than UVA, Missed opportunities, penalties, and costly turnovers cost him the game. The offense couldn't find the right traction the next week against Florida. The offense was held to just 95 yards, and EJ went 6 for 13 with 65 yards. The defense stepped up in the win, causing 2 sacks and 4 interceptions, giving the offense short field position to score rushing TDs, as well as a pick 6 by Terrence Parks. In the Champs Sports Bowl, Florida State and Notre Dame were locked into a defensive struggle in the first half. EJ got back on track in the second half and led a comeback, going 20 for 31, 249 passing yards. His senior year started out hot, helped with the first 2 games being against D1 AA competition. The next 3 games, Manuel showed made him a 5-star recruit, including a dominant performance against number 10 Clemson, with a 77 completion rate, 380 passing yards with 2 touchdowns, and 102 rushing yards, followed by another outing with over 70% completion rate and 200 yards passing into UCF. EJ then led the number 13 Seminoles into Raleigh, North Carolina. At halftime, they led 16-0, but they didn't score another point after that. Interceptions, penalties, and a missed PAT let Mike Glennon and the Wolfpack back in the game. And with 16 seconds left, Glennon found Brown for a touchdown from 2 yards out to be the game-winning touchdown. Manuel came back strong against Boston College with 400-plus yards passing for a touchdown day that propelled the Seminoles to a 51-7 win. Then an efficient 67.7 completion rate with 229 yards, no touchdowns, and no interceptions in the win over rival Miami. A quick showing against Duke saw him throw 2 touchdowns but only 16 pass attempts in a blowout win. Next was a visit to his home state and the hostile confines of Blacksburg, Virginia. The teams counterpunched and dueled it out all game, but it was EJ that landed the knockout blow with a 39-yard strike to Rashad Green with 40 seconds left. He played the role of game manager against Maryland, leading to a 41-14 win. That led the Seminoles to their second 5-game winning streak that season. Next was the Florida Gators. Unfortunately, EJ struggled again. He managed to have 3 touchdowns, with 2 coming from the run game, but his 3 interceptions and under 55 completion rate led the Gators back in the game, and the Gators scored 24 of their 30 second-half points in the fourth quarter. At 10-2, EJ led the Seminoles to the ACC championship game against Georgia Tech. He was efficient with a 76.2 completion rate, but he was limited to 134 yards passing and only 49 yards rushing, and had 1 interception. The defense in the run game helped out when the Noles win, because it was a nail-biter, 15-21. Win, the Noles clinched the BCF Bowl for the first time since 2005, in which they would go to the Orange Bowl and face underdog Northern Illinois Huskies. A little trash talk by Northern Illinois star quarterback Jordan Lynch led the defense and Manuel on an onslaught against the Huskies, 31-10. Manuel had 317 total yards and 2 touchdowns in a game that gave him the first BCS win since 2000. EJ did not win the national championship, but with a 25-6 record, he helped bring Florida State back to national prominence. And with that 12-win season, that was only the 3rd time in FSU history that a team did so. The NFL scouts loved EJ Manuel's size, running ability, leadership, character, and his ability to throw the ball. That really gave him the leg up, because there was no clear-cut number 1 favorite quarterback going into that year, with EJ, Mike Glennon, Matt Barkley, and Geno Smith all having great qualities, but all of them having some knocks. Each scout had who would say was supposed to be number 1, but EJ's professionalism size gave him the lead and had the Bills take him 16 overall in the first round, leading him to be the only quarterback taken in the first round of that draft. The success of Cam Newton, RG3, and Colin Kaepernick probably propelled him to be the only quarterback taken because of his running ability, and that was kind of the fad going on those couple years of looking for the next great running, throwing quarterback. EJ was named the starter after the 2nd week of the preseason. His first career start was against the New England Patriots. His first career touchdown was an 18-yard pass to Robert Woods. He followed that up with another strike to Stevie Johnson in the 3rd. Manuel played well with a 66 completion rate and 2 touchdowns and 150 yards, but he couldn't beat the GOAT Tom Brady, with GOAT leading his team down the last 4th quarter drive to kick a field goal by Stephen Gostkowski. EJ's first win came against fashion model Cam Newton and the Carolina Panthers in Week 2. EJ engineered a 9-play, 80-yard, game-winning 4th quarter comeback drive with down 6 points with a minute and 38 seconds to go. He capped off the drive with a 2-yard pass with Stevie Johnson with 2 seconds left. EJ's next win came against the Ravens in Week 4, 23-20, despite the fact that EJ had his first career multi-interception game. And that was due to the fact that Joe Flacco showed him how he was doing 5 interceptions. That's how you do it, rookie. Next game against the Browns, EJ was playing solid, but he was forced out with an LCL injury while he was running down the sideline. That injury would keep him out for the next 5 weeks, and he wouldn't return into the game against the Steelers. When he returned, the rust definitely showed. He was up and down. Over the next 5 games, he went 2-3 and had 6 touchdowns and 6 interceptions, including a 4 interception and 0 touchdown day against the Bucks. The knee injury flared back up and caused him to miss the last 2 games of the season. Made him finish his rookie year with 11 touchdowns and 9 interceptions, throwing for 1,972 yards and under 59 completion rate. Now it's not great, but it's not horrible for a rookie. Kind of solid. The offseason, the Bills brought in Kyle Orton to push EJ in training camp. EJ played well in the preseason and was named the starter for the season. The Bills started 2-0, and EJ had a combined 3 touchdowns and 389 total yards in those 2 games. In week 3, the San Diego Chargers loaded the box and took away the easy throws and forced EJ to make tight contested downfield throws. Even though he had 238 yards passing and a touchdown, he was unable to string drives together that led to a 22-10 loss. The Texans followed that same blueprint to get a 23-17 win the next week. EJ and the offense could not get on the same page, and they were held to under 100 yards rushing. EJ had an under 50% completion rate and had 2 interceptions, including an 80-yard pick 6 by J.J. Watt. Following that loss, EJ was benched in favor of Kyle Orton, and Kyle Orton led the team to 7 wins out of the last 12 games, and gave Buffalo their first winning record since 2004. Following that season, Kyle Orton retired. Head coach Doug Marrone opted out of his contract, and that brought in new head coach Rex Ryan, as well as his quarterback favorites Tyrod Taylor and Matt Castle. Tyrod won the starting job, and EJ only started 2 games, while Tyrod nursed an MCL injury. Both those games were losses, the first one against Cincinnati, and the second one a game in London against the Jaguars. EJ had 3 turnovers in that game, including 2 consecutive turnovers for touchdowns against the Jaguars. One to Telvin Smith, the other one to Chris Clemens. With that loss, that gave EJ the distinction of being the first quarterback to ever lose in 3 different countries: America, Canada, and England. Yikes, that sucks. After that, Tyrod Taylor came back and resumed the starting role. After that, EJ just was never really a starter after that. He just did some mop-up duty for the Raiders here and there for whenever Derek Carr got hurt the next year in 2017. And after that year, he retired. Ej Manuel was a really good college quarterback that couldn't cut it in the NFL. Now, I don't think he's one of those guys that just couldn't do it. I think he just needed to sit, watch, and relax and just kind of watch somebody else do it for a little while and then really understand. Going back to Florida State, he just never really took over the team. He was a great leader, good player, made plays here and there, but he never just took over a game. He never dominated a game. And a few times he did, it would be like a drive or two, and always be with his legs, not his arm. And I just think he just could never elevate his team to that level. And I think that was his hindrance. He was a really big guy, very mobile, very athletic, great personality. He's a leader. He looks like a guy you want to be your quarterback. But unfortunately, he just didn't have what it takes to put it all together. Now, honestly, I think if he would have sat, he'd have been in a little better shape. But the fact that the Buffalo Bills needed a guy immediately didn't help his case at all. He needed a place where he can really learn, work on his second and third level reads, work on his deep ball. Because he could throw a deep ball, but it just would linger. It would kind of just linger for a touch and give a chance the defense to catch back up. So he needed a chance to work on that, either work on letting it drive further or faster down the line, or work on his anticipation so he wouldn't have to worry about the defense catching up. He could throw the touch sooner. Another thing he needed to work on was learning when to get down. He got hurt because he didn't know how to get down against the Browns, and that's what happens against those college guys who are used to just taking hits and think that they can do it in the NFL. No, the NFL's bigger, faster, stronger, and you got to learn when to get down and just take the yards to get out of bounds. Oh, good guy, really good college quarterback, solid, okay NFL quarterback. I feel he could have been better with time, and he'd have had a chance to maturate and learn the game and learn things he needed to work on. But hey, it's the NFL. You never know your number is going to be called. But hey, thanks for checking out Golden Era Sports. Be sure to check out our next feature, be Jameis Winston, the last of this segment. Like, subscribe, and share. Peace.